You're listening to The Head Trash Show with the founder of Head Trash, Alexia Leachman. Head Trash is the home to the new and unique Head Trash clearance method that removes unwanted negative thoughts, feelings and emotions quickly and effectively so that you can achieve clarity, confidence and contentment in your life. Tune in every week as Alexia shares insights and simple strategies to help you create some headspace to experience confidence and clarity in your life and business. To find out how to clear your head trash quickly and effectively using our unique method, pop over to www.headtrash.co.uk to get our free download and subscribe for our free head trash clearance updates. And now for the show.
Hello and welcome back to the Head Trash Show. This is me, your host, Alexia Leachman. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing? Now, today, I hope you don't mind, but I want to play with your head. I want to mess it up inside and get you thinking in new ways and new perspectives. Get some new thinking going on so that you can start identifying new opportunities and start behaving differently so that you can start making new stuff happen in your life. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to play around with some opposites today. And I'm going to start by saying that I'm going to give you 10 reasons why being selfish is a good thing. So why would I do that? And since when is being selfish a good thing? These are probably questions that you're asking yourself, right? Well, let me just slow down for a minute and just expand on what I'm doing. Now, as you know, the head trash clearance method that I share with you, that I talk about, that you can get free from the website at headtrash.co.uk, uses the law of opposites, or otherwise known as the law of polarity. And so we play around a lot with loving something and hating something and acknowledging that there is a tiny part of us that will always love something even though we might hate it. And if we hate something, there's always a tiny part of us that might love it. And so we can't really get away from this fact. You might sort of protest and say, no, I really do hate this thing. Whereas really there's always going to be this tiny part of you that loves it and adores it. So what I want you to do today is to really start thinking about loving something that you normally hate and hating something that you normally love, so that you can start thinking about how, when you do start inviting those thoughts in your head, how they can open up new possibilities and new perspectives. So the reason I've thrown selfish down into the ring like that is because I'm going to use selfishness as the example that I'm going to play with today. So when you think about selfishness, what do you think? Now, I know that most people, when they think about selfishness, they normally think that being selfish is a bad thing. And if you label somebody as selfish, then it's usually meant as an insult. You wouldn't sort of call somebody selfish and mean it in a good way. And so that's quite interesting, because actually selfish is good and selfish is bad. Everything's got good and everything's got bad in it, except selfish got a bit of a bad rep. And we just associate selfishness with being bad. Now, let me ask you this. What's the opposite of selfish and selfishness? Now, I don't know about you, but when I think about what the opposite of selfishness is, the thing that comes to my mind is generosity. Now, other people might think it's selflessness, but that's entirely personal and up to you. So it's whatever you want it to be. But for the purposes of this podcast today, I'm going to be using the opposite as generous. Now, if we think about generosity and being generous, we also think of that as being a good thing, right? So if we say, oh, she's so generous, that's always thought of as we're being very nice about that person. It's a compliment. And equally, if we go, oh, he's just so damn selfish, then that's a bad thing. And this person's clearly bad if they're so selfish. So let's have a little bit of fun. Are you ready? So I've got, I think, something like about 10 reasons why being selfish is good. Now, 10 reasons, you're thinking, whoa, that's a lot. Now, the reason I've come up with 10, and actually 10 isn't enough. I should have maybe come up with nearer 20 or 30 to really do this properly. But if you've got something in your life that you think of as a bad thing, like selfishness, then to start thinking in new ways, a really good thing to do is to brainstorm 20 or 30 ways in which that thing is actually good. So it doesn't feel intuitive, it's counterintuitive, but it does throw up a lot of very interesting things when you do this. So these are what I've come up with for why being selfish is a good thing. And, I am having fun with this, and it's intended to really start getting new neurons going, new pathways going, new, just firing off new thoughts, because you never know where this kind of stuff will lead you. So here's what I've got for why selfish is a good thing. Well, first of all, you get to do what you want. You don't have to worry about other people. You get to look after your own needs. You don't waste time doing things that you don't like or you don't need to do. Your days are your own. Other people around you learn to toughen up and just get on with things because you're not there for them because you're too busy doing your stuff, right? Other people start to maybe take a bit of a distance from you because you're just not there for them. So you get a bit more space. You don't get hassled as much by people. This is great. You suddenly have more time to do your stuff. You get loads of me time. You're actually showing some self-love and respect. That's not something to ignore. You don't have to spend time with people that you don't want to. That's a bonus, surely. And your selfishness is actually teaching others how to be selfish because, hey, you're being a role model, right? You get to keep more of your money because all these generous types are just spending their money on other people. You get to keep yours all for yourself. You have more time to yourself. You don't have to put up with watching crappy films or TV shows. You can just grab that remote, put what you want on and not give two hoots about what everybody else wants to watch in the lounge. You just get to do your thing. And so eventually people stop asking you to do stuff because they know you'll probably say no because you're too selfish. And you just get left alone to be happy doing stuff that you like. Now, having listened to all that, doesn't selfishness sound like a great thing to be, doesn't it? Why aren't more of us selfish? And you're probably thinking, hey, my other half is selfish, or, my parents or my friend or whoever, that you probably have a lot of people that are selfish in your life. And from where you're sitting, you think it stinks. Well, maybe they've got a point. So my challenge to you here is, why not you try come up with another 5 or 10 reasons why being selfish is a good thing, and just have fun with it. Get creative. Don't take yourself too seriously when you're coming up with these lists, because that they're not designed to be taken seriously. They're designed to help you to think differently and to open up your mind, because once you can start thinking differently, you can start behaving differently and finding new ways to resolve problems and challenges and conflicts in your life. So this is actually a really, really powerful exercise to do. So while we're at it, let's look at generosity, shall we? Because generosity, well, I think is, it's got a good rep, but does it deserve it? That's the question. So here are some of my reasons why I think generosity is bad. Your time is never your own because you're too damn busy doing stuff for other people. You've got less money for yourself because you're spending it on others being generous. People start to expect your generosity, and so therefore you start attracting these selfish types and these takers. They're taking advantage of you, and you're maybe attracting people who want you for your money or whatever it is that you're offering, and they're not maybe there just for you. Perhaps you're doing it for your own emotional needs, so maybe you're being really selfish in being generous. You find it hard to say no. Maybe you're constantly buying gifts for other people, and although the gesture might be appreciated, maybe you're buying them stuff they just don't want, and so actually you're contributing to waste on the planet and just buying needless crap that is not going to be used by anybody. Maybe you're being generous to expect stuff back. Then you're definitely selfish. And maybe you're being generous to show that you have the money. Well, if you're doing that, then you're insecure. And especially insecure if you're doing that and you can't really afford that round of champagne that you just bought all your mates. So that's just my little spin on generosity. Can you think of any more reasons why being generous is a bad thing? And this approach is really, really worth taking with anything that you have coming up in your life that's presenting itself as a challenge. If you find that you are being really, really annoyed by that person that is lacking integrity or not being real, or they're being a bit of a fake, or they're lying all the time, and that really annoys you, whatever that trait is that you don't like because you think it's a bad thing, then all you need to do is just write down 20 reasons why it's a good thing. And you might start seeing things from a different perspective. You might see things differently, and that might enable you to maybe step into their shoes to see why they might be behaving in that way. And actually, maybe you're the one that's got it wrong. Maybe you have a perspective that does need to be shifted. So that is what I want to leave you with today. Sometimes you can change your thinking, clear that head trash, create some headspace just by thinking differently. And you don't have to do anything complicated. You can make it as simple as looking at something from the opposite perspective. And so that's what I'm leaving with you today. Playing with opposites and my reasons why being selfish is good and generosity is bad. If you've got any ideas of what you'd like to add to that list, then I'd love to hear them on Twitter or on Facebook. And as ever, if you have any questions at all about using the 5 steps to clearing head trash process, then you know exactly where to find me. Any questions, then I'll hope to answer on the podcast in our FAQ series. If you have any questions about the process, then do seek out the FAQ podcasts I've done that were out a couple of weeks ago. So there's a few there to help you on your way. And hopefully they will be useful to you. Any more, then just let me know. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in. You've just been listening to Alexia Leachman here on The Head Trash Show. If you enjoyed the show, she'd really appreciate you leaving a review on iTunes. And don't forget to pop over to www.headtrash.co.uk to get your copy of the free 5 Steps to Clearing Head Trash guide. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes for more strategies, tips and how-tos for clearing your head trash and reclaiming your headspace. Until next time.